All right. I want to start off by saying I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, so I want to wish you love, peace, and God, and let you know that Michael Dean will not be joining us today. So I will be here by my lonesome unless Celie or Ricky pops up. So we're going to see where the day takes us, and let's get this party started. All right. So we got Andre Staley first in the chat. What up, though? And then we also have April from Tampa. We also have Marky Rayford. Peace to all the Purple Paisley Party people. Love that. We also have Lisa Williams from H-Town. And Lisa went to Paisley Park for the first time last weekend, and they are still in the clouds. Love that. And I'm happy to be back with y'all. We're happy to have you here. We got Divas for Social Justice in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with me at Omar this past week. And I really, really love my gift. I really love my gift. Thank you so very much. But Divas is in DC. Love that. We got Nick Felden from Denver. We got EA from San Francisco. We got Christina from Minneapolis. And I love this happy WDPDTW Day. And we also have Melvin Rush II. Once again, I am here. Where are you? And while we're waiting for Ricky, maybe, to show up, as you come on in, if you don't mind hitting that like button to help us with the YouTube algorithm, I'd very much appreciate it. We got Anna B, dearly beloved. We're gathered here today to get through this thing called WDPDTW. Love that. We also have Barbara Y. We have a Heavenly Games. And we have Dorothy Edwards. I love this, Dorothy. Bring on week 29 and the 132nd episode of What Did Prince Do This Week? We have Blade Brown. We have Sister Charles from H-Town. We have Ronald Dagley Jr. We have Mrs. MJ Muse. I haven't seen you in the chat before. I don't know if this is your first time, but if not, welcome. But if so, thank you for being here. And then we have Purple Cat Confetti, who had a Madhouse morning. Love that. We have Mila, my heart. It's been a while. It's so great to see you here. We have D68A. Thank you so much for your YouTube channel. And we have Gabrielle. Love this, from down under, Australia. We got our timekeeper. Depending on who shows up, Kim, I might be keeping the right time today. And we have Man Ray 10. Love this. Purple family, peace, love, happiness, health, and Godspeed always. And we got Mooches. Always love seeing Mooches, so I can look at Vanity. And Mooches is from Philly. We have Rodney, GA family. And then we have Stephanie Mills. All right, I'm at November. So Stephanie Mills is way ahead in the book. So November of 1986, almost finished. We got Anthony Todd from Texas. And we got Mr. Oshun. How are you? I hope you're well. We have JD Washington from Motown. We got Karan. And why is it? Yeah, there we go. Happy Saturday, Purple Fam. Hello, hello, hello. We have Lady Cab Driver. My face is in the plates. And we got Love Sexy 71. And we got Audria and AT Alien with Love or Money. Yeah, we got Andre. So that lets you know you need to be doing your reading because Stephanie Mills is doing their reading. All right. So let's get started with our housekeeping. This is week 29 of 1985 of What Did Prince Do This Week? We're going week to week, not date to date. You can follow the detailed schedule with this bit.ly link or QR code. You do not need the paperback version, but this is the one we're reading, the one with the circle. That's the most updated version, but you can also have the hardback cover, which is missing about 50 pages, according to Duane. All right. These will be archived at Polished Solid as well as at MDean. Even though Michael won't be here with us today, please subscribe, like, and help spread the word. Really do appreciate it. And I love that Stephanie said, I just had to, Andre. The book is so good. That's right. And then we got Michelle. Kim, I love this. When did Prince drink that water? That's right. For our acronym, you're like, where is Theo? Theo needs to see this one. Hopefully, Theo will watch this and see your acronym. When did Prince drink that water? And that'll give me a cue to drink my own water. My husband gets on me for not drinking enough water, and I am still dealing with dental woes, and I need to be drinking water. All right. So this is our hashtag WDPDTW for What Did Prince Do This Week. And if you want to get in touch with us, that's our Gmail. And then the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. This is an independent endeavor. And our community guidelines are we choose to be a community even when we disagree. And I might not have anyone join me today, so I might not have anybody to disagree with. So we'll see how that goes. And what we're playing right now is Two Sisters from Eric Leeds, Things Left Unsaid, his Paisley Park Records 1993 release. It's his second solo record. And this is a ditty composed by Alphonso Johnson, a world-renowned bassist. Do your Googles, as Michael Dean would say. And you can see that there's a lot of different musicians on this one. And we're not going to go through them, but you can see it. Oh, and we got Stone Freak in the house. And I love that Stone Freak is wishing everyone heaven. And we got Carol Brooks sitting in the bay under a blanket. Love that. Home, everyone is warm and ready. And let's see. So Andre has a shout out to JD Washington, who mentioned an artist named Fantastic Negrito last week. Looked him up and have been listening to his LP White Jesus Black Problem since. Thank you. Awesome. I love we getting connections. All right. So Heavenly Gains received C. Lee's book early, and we'll be cracking it open later today. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. So this is C. Lee's book, and it is essentially the lyrics of Prince by Celia McGinnis. You can get it off of Amazon, and it is just as chunky as the book we're already reading. So Duane's book is on top, and C. Lee's is on the bottom. So if you want to do two books at one time, C. Lee's is a good one. All right. Okay. Something dropped. Books are just a falling. Let's see. Exactly, Nick Felden. I'm going to tell my husband something in the water does not compute. Oh my God. We have Jesse. Jesse, I'm so glad that you put that in there, because I was going to say, did you check your email? Did your email change? Are you ghosting me? I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Jesse. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I can't wait to see what you said. Let's see. And Stone Freak is saying, I've been a fan since he dropped Saturday's song as Xavier back in the day. All right. And let's see. And Chanel also got C. Lee's book this week and have read several chapters. Excellent purchase. So I love that we have some dedicated book readers in our book club who's reading both Duane's book as well as C. Lee's book. All right. Let's get into this. Week 29, the 132nd episode of What Did Prince Do This Week? What We Know, which is a really important caveat. Thanks, Anil. All right. So this week, Prince wrote one song and had 3 studio sessions. Yes, I love this. The answer is yes, yes, yes. Positivity. And yes, you should definitely, everybody should get C. Lee's book. That's right, Jesse. I love saying Jesse because my great-grandfather's name was also Jesse. So every time I get the opportunity to say Jesse, I am thrilled. I love Jesse as a name. Okay, so let's look. Oh, Theo, look at you. So Theo, you are here, and I forgot to turn on this, like seeing the comments. I kind of like this new feature of seeing the comments, and then StreamYard keeps changing things, and I don't see the favorites. But let me see if I can find it really quick just for Theo. Kim, where did you go? Here we go. Theo, this is just for you. Kim says, when did Prince drink that water? Love that, right? Okay. So the comments aren't showing up on the screen like they're supposed to. Let me do the toggle, do it again. See if maybe it's because no one has posted anything yet. That's probably what's going on. Okay. All right. So let's look there. There you go. On Sunday, Prince tracked one of my favorite songs off of Parade, tracked and mixed Do You Lie? It's one of my favorite songs off of Parade. And then on Monday and Tuesday, and Saturday for that matter, that's the other book. And then on Wednesday, there were mixes of Neon Telephone, as well as a mix of Do You Lie, continue mixing for that. And there was another mix of Neon Telephone, as well as an instrumental mix of Love or Money. And then on Friday, July 19th of 1985, The Family's Screams of Passion is on. Okay, so let's see. All right, so hopefully, can you guys hear me? Or is this in terms of something else? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can't. Okay, and let's get started with our reading. So if everybody can turn to page, well, I forgot, we're not going to do pages anymore because some of you have different editions of the book. So we are going to go to Sunday, July 14th, 1985. And we're going to read about Do You Lie? Ah, yes, that's what I was hoping. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So let me do this. All right. Okay. Do You Lie? Tracking mix, Washington Avenue Warehouse, Edina, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Susan Rogers and David Tickle. And this is a quote from Wendy Melvoin on Do You Lie? Prince was the one that came up with those odd little progressions. There was a definite gifted intuition on how to get what he wanted. Okay, so I am going to skip the first paragraph as well as the second and go down to the third. It says, Prince also enlisted Mark, Matt, Wendy, and Lisa to work on Do You Lie, a track Prince had likely originally demoed during his time in France. Jonathan's playing the drums on that, and it was lovely, reflects Wendy. He was incredibly musical, and he knew he had a great ear and was really subtle. Prince didn't really give them much direction because they knew Jonathan was a great jazz drummer. So he just kind of went for it. It just worked. And there is a God because C. Lee is joining me. Thank you so much, C. Lee.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I know you're tired, and so I am so grateful for you to be here with me.
I literally just pulled into the driveway.
Oh, now that is family.
I said
That's dedication.
I said I gotta come see the family. So so yeah, so go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. I know you were talking about something, so but I'm here. So
awesome. Yay. So Eldebar, you're never late to the party. So I am yes. Mr. Masterclass is here. See,
hey everybody. Good morning.
Yeah. And what Audra said, that's love. Pulling in the driveway and coming on in. And we got C. Lee, the master. I'm thinking of the last right now. The master. Oh, enough. And let's see. Yeah, everyone's excited. I love this comment from Anna B. Professor Duff's holding down the solo horn section. That's right.
That's right.
I hold it down, but I'm so happy to see Lee.
See Atlanta and Eric all at the same time.
Yeah. And we also got D68A. And we also, let's see. Yes, we got Love Sexy. Love Sexy. And we got, we were just talking about Yes. Yes. I love the dedication. I love dedicated people. I love passionate people. But we just talked about a couple people getting your book this week. Heavenly Gaines got your book this week. Chanel got your book this week. And Jesse needs to get your book. And then, yes. And Chris Bournet, you're never late. Welcome. And let's see what Blade Brown has to say. Thinks about watching Under the Cherry Moon, scrolls to recommendations on TV, and first on the list, Under the Cherry Moon looks around the living room. Oh, I mean, Under the Cherry Moon is such an amazing film. You should not be scared to watch it. I mean, I think compared to Graffiti Bridge, time has been kinder to Under the Cherry Moon than Graffiti Bridge for sure. But Under Cherry Moon has always been my favorite film. It didn't need time. It was kind of automatic. And we got some good dawns. Love that. And yeah, okay. So we're ready.
I would say this.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody hasn't seen Under the Cherry Moon, go to it as a fun watch. That's what I would say. Forget about what you know about the album and all of that. If you go to it as a fun watch, I'm watching this to have fun, then I think you will heighten your chance of enjoying the film, right? So that's my advice. That's my advice. I do need to give out one shout out.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a bracelet or a friendship bracelet before. So one of my high school students from the Masterclass made me a friendship bracelet, and it actually has my name on it. So actually has C. Lee on it. So I want to just shout out the high school student from the class that came the last day. And you know which one that was?
The one with the binder.
No.
The kiss?
Yes.
Yes.
And I told you why she had her face painted, right?
No, you didn't.
It wasn't I thought it was for Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day I asked about their favorite groups. Insane Clown Posse.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back on the road to why we're here.
Well, I'm sure most people want to know in the chat, like, how did your masterclass go this week?
It was wonderful. The only hiccup, and I told Prof. Dub, I'm there. I'm ready there to get my masterclass teaching on. And, we got up to around 20 students or whatever. And some parents dropped off their children, and these children between the ages of 8 and 12. Now, I'm getting ready to get in a dirty mind, and we got some 8 to 12-year-olds along with, so our range was from 8 to 67.
Wow.
Yeah, we had from 8 to 67. But I will say that there was never any problem with the material, with the students learning or not understanding. So I will say it was probably one of the best teaching experiences of my life. And I love, y'all know I'm Jackson State through and through. I'm I love Jackson State Tigers through and through. But I will say that this was probably one of my best teaching experiences. And I end on this Thursday night, and I'm hoping when they post the video, so we couldn't video the class, but Thursday night we had a talk. We did an hour and a half talk about my book and my research, and it was a packed house. So I sold out all my books. Well, the house was half packed for the talk. Friday night for the band called Unfazed. It's a local Mississippi band, really great band. I'll tell y'all about that later. But it was a full house for the band. And this old black man who had heard that I sold all my books out Thursday night said, "Son, looks like you missed the golden opportunities." And I didn't think about to have books for the night of the tribute, right? Mm-hmm. And at least half the people there for the night of the tribute was there looking for the book as well. So, but like I said, it was a great, great night. The quote that I think, because I got some quotes from the students at the end, the two quotes that kept coming up was, they did not know that Prince was as political as he was. Mm-hmm. They also didn't know that he was that prolific. Mm-hmm. And so the third one was, they all left away, particularly the high school students, all left away saying, they were amazed that Prince was so unique and never allowed the industry or society to change who he was. That, and coming from high schoolers, and they're going through that time in their life, but all of the high schoolers kept coming back to Prince is now, for one actually said, Prince is now a hero for being myself. And to have a 15-year-old say that, I was like, okay, it was well worth the class. All right, that's it. I'll shut up.
I mean, I will say that, to be honest, that is what drew me to Prince. So when I saw the Dirty Mind album cover, as I, however old I was, 9 or 10, I didn't see sex. I saw freedom. And I saw that he could do whatever he wanted to do. And that was the draw for me. And for him to be able to have that amount of freedom for his entire lifetime is actually pretty remarkable. And that's the reason why I keep coming to Prince, keep coming back to Prince, because he is, if you look up freedom in the dictionary, like his image should be right next to it. So really powerful. His life is, forget the musicianship, just his life in general. Like coming from Minneapolis, like becoming a world-renowned icon from Minneapolis, which wasn't necessarily a musical epicenter at the time. Like he created Minneapolis as a musical, Nirvana or whatever you want to call it. So it's an incredible story. It really is.
Yeah. So, I will say one funny part, because you forget a lot of these things they don't know, and they're learning it, so they're living it. So we've been talking about, you start at the beginning. So we start in North Minneapolis. We start with Bernadette Anderson. We start with Pepe Willie. We go through all of that. Prince's climb, Prince's fight against Warner Brothers, wanted to do all that. So we get to him opening for the Rolling Stones. And so there's a video clip that I'm playing. And it's a mixed class. So it's a mixture of class, because that area of South Mississippi, which is really interesting, South Mississippi is actually red. Mississippi is red, but South Mississippi is heavy Republican. So you got a mix of black and white kids, and to see those kids' faces, to learn about Prince being booed in front of the Rolling Stones, and then for them to learn that, they could take black music from the Stones, but they couldn't take black music from this man. And there was this little 15-year-old white girl, and she was like, and when the video stopped and we got ready to talk, and I said, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And she was just like, Mr. McInnes, just to be honest, I'm too crushed to talk right now. Because I can't believe that the only reason they wouldn't like him is because of his color and how he was dressed. And we got into, those were the things that Prince was fighting about. And we really had a long conversation about, how Prince's music and how art in general can really help us kind of reevaluate our stereotypes and prejudices that we have. So that was like a really seminal move, because I was wondering, I didn't know if I wanted to talk about that or not. And then the feedback that I got from, the college kids were but to see those high school students, they were literally impacted. And I felt bad because that's what we ended on for the day. So we ended on that for the day. And I said, I promise tomorrow, 1999, and it's going to be great. I promise. And they literally sucked out of there. Like they walked out like little whipped pups, right? So I said, 1999 discussion got to be really good tomorrow. So yeah, that's it. That's it for good now.
All right. And so one more thing I want to address in the chat. So JD Washington, as far as I know, and this is what Alan Bolio talks about in his book, but Before the Rain, I think that's the name of his photography book. And it's actually the mattress springs. It's actually not X-ray. It's the mattress springs itself. It's literally the mattress springs that are behind Prince, which is brilliant. It took me a long time to figure out that it was actually mattress springs. I don't even know what I thought it was, but yeah. All right. So I definitely got friends. We got Pretty Ricky.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
What's up, Rickster?
Hey, what's going on? Everybody doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're doing great now that you are here.
Oh man, I gotta get my book. Hold on.
Okay. All right. So, yes, as JD said, keep them wanting more. And then I love this comment from Elder Barr. As a teacher, you know that teaching and being taught is definitely reciprocal. It is definitely a two-way street.
Yes.
And yes, Man Ray 10, it was actually, if I remember, it was Lisa's Box Springs.
Yep, it was. Yep.
It sure was. And let's see, I don't know how far Ricky is from hearing this. Maybe he can still hear us. He probably can't. So make sure he puts his headphones back in so he can see all the morning Rickies, the pretty Rickies in the house.
Good morning, everybody.
And yeah, Gabrielle says, get that book. This is like the student who comes to class and go, oh, I got to go back to my locker.
Let me run back in my locker right quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, JD, but more. I don't think it was an X-ray. That's you got the mattress or box spring part, but it's the X-ray part that I was talking about. I think it was the actual mattress box spring, yeah, versus an X-ray. That's what I was pointing out. And then we got some Rickies. We said we are state segment. And then let's see what Melvin Rush says. The lyrics of Free still makes my soul weep as I identify with my personal freedom juxtaposed to societal restraints. Thanks to D'Angelo and Celie for this weekly opportunity to express Prince's thoughts. All right. And then I feel like I missed one. Oh, and Critical Mass, Celie wants to know, did the student not know racism existed until seeing the clip?
I think what you have to understand wasn't that they didn't know racism existed. You're talking about high school and particularly living in a state like Mississippi. You're talking about college and high school students who, one, really didn't know much about Prince, number one, and didn't know much about how racism impacts popular music. I think that a lot of people take for granted that because you know how racism impacts every aspect of American life, we take it for granted that everybody else knows how racism impacts every aspect of American life. So as I'm going through, getting even before I start way before. In fact, I played him one of the original recordings from Minneapolis Genius, right? From those Peppy Willie recording sessions, right? And we talk about that. So it wasn't that they didn't know about racism. What they did not know, being young people, is that they didn't know that people like Prince had to. That, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. They looked at me like I had a third head when I said this, because I used the Prince quote, "Don't make me black," and they did not know that up until basically streaming took over, all record companies have a black department. That was clueless to them. They didn't, like, these college and high school students did not know that record companies have a black department, and regardless of the type of music you play, if you are black, you are going to be housed in the black department. And why that's a negative sometimes, particularly for an artist like Prince, because what's unfortunate is that the black department at Warner Brothers or Sony or Columbia, they don't have relationships with white radio. They may not have relationships with NME or Rolling Stone. So for Prince to play, go ahead.
But also, in addition to that, they usually got less money for promotion.
We talked about that, for videos and for promotion. Exactly. So thank you for that, because we talked about that. So again, it wasn't that they didn't know that racism existed. They did not know that an artist like Prince, and when I gave them that stat that for 13 years, from 1978 to the 79, 78 to 89, not one black act was on Billboard's rock charts, and not one living black act was in heavy rotation in white rock radio for 13 years. That's what Prince was fighting against. And then for them to come in and understand that, it gave them an even more heightened respect for Prince, because they understood the journey and the things with which he was fighting. That's it.
Do you see this comment from JD? Because I've never been to the Tower Records in Tokyo, but JD is saying that instead of R&B, there's a section at Tower Records called Black Music.
Yep, and that's probably because when the Grammys, and actually AMAs used to do it for a long time, but the Grammys and the AMAs, when they first started, their R&B category was Black music. And so you have to understand, and I would say this. It's funny because it was the reverse of what happened with RCA. A lot of people don't know, and I'll make this quick. Little Richard was signed to RCA before Elvis. When Elvis got signed, RCA created what became known as Camden Records. They put Little Richard on Camden so they could sell Elvis exclusively on RCA. So the whole thing so that's why Little Richard always said R&B never meant rhythm and blues. It always meant real black. So that from the beginning, the Black music category, or race music was the other term for it, was so that people like Elvis and Pat Boone didn't have to compete against Little Richard. And so Little Richard then would be on subsidiaries, even though, again, Little Richard was actually signed to RCA before Elvis. And then what happened later on, as the Grammys and the American Music Awards tried to make it right, they made it right by kind of using the same categories by saying the Black category. So for years it was just the Black category before it became the R&B category, and then after R&B it became hot. And I'm glad you said that, brother Wiggins, big sexy, because I do like to make a distinction. Pat Boone, yes, timekeeper, I'm gonna set up right now. Pat Boone is stealing. Elvis was the victim of the white media needing a white hope, and I'll leave that there. But Elvis and Pat Boone were never the same person. So I'm with Big Sexy on the Pat Boone, and I'm like Little Richard. The first time Little Richard heard Pat Boone, his only response was "Why?" Let's move on.
I will say, if I can find my, I will say this. If you haven't checked out Pat Boone's In a Metal Mood, where he does covers of rock songs, you haven't lived, as some people have said. He does some amazing covers of like Guns N' Roses, and I don't know. It's an album that when it came out, I played a lot, and I still have a hankering sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it's an amazing album.
Okay.
It's like it's like it's not. He doesn't do them as rock songs. He does it more like a big band, and it's really incredible. So you have to check that out.
See, I'm glad you said that, because when he was promoting it, he went on the Grammys and he had on a leather vest with fake nipple piercings.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Pat, you just Pat doing it all over again. So maybe if he wouldn't have promoted it that way, I'd have checked it out. So now I'm gonna have to go back and check it out.
Yeah, I actually the subtitle was "No More Mr. Nice Guy." Oh, the two, like, if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, I would check out. He does a cover of Metallica's "Enter Sandman." He does a cover of Guns N' Roses' "Paradise City." He does Ozzy Osbourne's "Crazy Train," Led Zeppelin's "Stairway to Heaven," Jimi Hendrix's "The Wind Cries Mary." But Van Halen's "Panama," some Alice Cooper, "No More Mr. Nice Guy," and let's see. Yeah. So it's an incredible record. It really is. Okay. But that's the only Pat Boone record I ever listened to.
All right, props to Pat Boone then.
Yep. All right. So we got Cassandra finally made it to the chat, still in the Beyonce Beehive fog. She is all that. She is all that now that P and MJ are gone. So Cassandra, did you get your gym in this morning so I can live vicariously through you? And yes, Chanel says, I'm dead on the floor dying. Pat Boone does what? Yes.
Pat Boone never saw a genre he wouldn't co-opt.
Okay. Purple Cat Confetti is not convinced. Nope, never Pat Boone. And Tanja, all through the Vegas, is heading to Vegas. All right. And let's see. Okay. Yes. So just, okay. I think that means you just did some swimming.
Yeah.
And Nick Felden said, Celie, it was the AMAs.
There we go. Thank you, Brother Nick. There we go.
And we got it. Yes, Little Richard, the Trailblazer. That's right. I love this comment from Rodney. Kim, what time is the benediction? Yes. Okay. All righty. Oh, no. Was there a hip hop? Are you just, is this real or are you trying to? Because I didn't hear about the hip hop record.
I didn't hear about the hip hop one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. I was reading about Do You Lie, but that was so long ago that I'm going to start over with the part I was reading. That's what I thought, Andre. You were joking because I was like, I don't know about that. Okay. I still don't know how to use StreamYard one day. Okay. Prince also enlisted Mark, Matt, Wendy, and Lisa to work on Do You Lie? And we're on, for those of you who are just joining us, because we had a lot of people, Sunday, July 14th, 1985. Sunday, July 14th, 1985. Hopefully everybody can get there. I hear pages turning.
So, yeah, it's me probably.
Sunday, July, that means you're not there. Sunday, July 14th. Now. All right. Okay, so we're skipping, we already read all the header stuff and we're skipping the first two paragraphs, going down to Prince also enlisted Mark, Matt, Wendy, and Lisa to work on Do You Lie? A track Prince had likely originally demoed during his time in France. Jonathan's playing the drums on that and it was lovely, reflects Wendy. He was incredibly musical and he knew he had a great ear and was really subtle. Prince didn't really give them much direction because they knew Jonathan was a great jazz drummer. So he just kind of went for it. It just worked. Sandra Francisco, credited as Little Gypsy Girl, recorded the spoken word section, which translates as Children Who Lie Don't Go to Heaven. It is unclear when her part was taped. Status, Do You Lie, 2 minutes and 39 seconds, was released on Prince's Parade album. Now, one of the things, actually, I need to, I'm going forward in my slide deck really quickly. It just occurred to me looking at this morning, like if you look at the Washington Avenue warehouse, it wasn't Sunset Sound, Washington Avenue warehouse in Edina, Minnesota, Prince recorded Girls and Boys, Love or Money, Alexa de Paris, Neon Telephone. Well, we're not going to mention that. We're going to skip Neon Telephone. I don't know what God Is Everywhere sounds like, so I'm going to skip that too. Venice de Milo and Do You Lie? He recorded those in a warehouse. Just something to think about. Pretty incredible. And before
as they say, it ain't the tools, it's the person with the tools.
That is correct. Celie, say that. So Do You Lie, I mentioned before both of you got here, is probably one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song off of Parade, because of the Prince's vocal delivery in particular. Like the harmonization, the stacking of the vocals is so sublime and heavenly. I will love to have an acapella of that. And obviously you can do that now with AI and stuff like that. But I would love to have the original acapella instead of, using those kinds of tools to do that kind of thing. And it also has, a different sensibility than the other tracks on the album. It fits on Parade for sure, but it sort of stands out in a certain way with, I guess maybe like the acoustic drums and all of that. So what about Alexa de Paris? I'm not quite sure what you mean, but we talked about Alexa last week. So if you haven't watched that episode, you should watch it because it was recorded last week. And so I want to hear from you, Celie and Ricky, about how you feel about Do You Lie and how you feel it fits on the record.
One of my favorite Prince vocal deliveries. It is, and it is to me a quintessential Prince song because it has no genre, it has no category. And to your point, I didn't know how soulful it was originally because I was fooled by the music. Like I liked it, but I had two cousins who were in bands, and my cousin who was a singer fell in love with Prince's vocal delivery. So to hear somebody who was a really great soul singer sing the song a cappella every day, and for him to try to mimic those Prince runs, that was when I really fell in love. That's when I was able to kind of separate the vocal delivery from the music, because the music is kind of whimsical. And so that's why it doesn't stick out as much for me, because Parade has this kind of whimsical feel to it. And it has a kind of like carnival-like organ kind of feel to it. And so I think that, but when I hear Do You Lie, it's almost like, you ever watch the movies where a character goes to the forefront and then everything kind of disappears?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens to me with the music on Do You Lie. The music, about 2 or 3 notes into Prince's performance, the music completely disappears. Like I almost forget that there's music playing with Prince's vocal because I'm so enamored by this vocal. So it's one of my favorite vocal deliveries, and it's at the top of this is a Prince song that cannot be defined as anything else but a Prince song. I'll shut up.
What about you, Ricky?
You know what? Over the years, it has grown on me. And I have to thank that to you guys speaking so highly of it.
So what was your first impressions? Why did you connect with it at first?
At first, I just wanted the up-tempo funk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was just my musical immaturity. But as my ears got more mature musically, I could appreciate like different facets of the song more, like especially the vocal arrangement. Like hearing that, like when you hear someone mention it, and then you go back and like really listen to it, it's like, wow, you're really doing some stuff on there. Same thing with we'll say the track arrangement. If it were instrumental, you know, I think it would still sound kind of dope. I mean, that like when you hear it, and at that time, considering like what we had from Prince and the surrounding camp members, you know, like Do You Lie sounds nothing like anything that he had done up until that point. So I mean, the fact that he was doing this in, say, the middle of what we thought was around the world in a day, you know, like he had already moved on from that. And so, you know, I think it's just one of those tracks. I mean, I'm glad that it's taken a while. I mean, kind of grow on me, because I appreciate it more, and that means that I keep going back, finding new stuff, you know, to kind of draw me into certain things.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And I mean, even now, like when you know, like when you hear it played, like when you're watching a movie, it just sounds different. I mean, it sounds better.
Right.
So,
and it's especially great given the scene that is backing, right? The humorous scene where Isaac is on the phone, right? You're not with anyone, is yes. So, yeah, and for put up the DE68A quote about posting it. This is the DE68A show. All right, there we go. I do that every time. There we go.
All right. So I thought this was an interesting comment from Love Sexy 71. I do like you just said, the placement of the instrumental behind Isaac. It was a really great sing, but it would have been wonderful to see Prince. Well, let me correct that. To see Christopher Tracy sing this in the film, in the context of the film, I think it would have been pretty incredible. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was I also loved Jesse's comment about if you want to show folks Prince's vocal range, like this would be Exhibit A, and you know, in one of the Exhibit A's. So I really love that comment. And let's see.
I would say also in the classic hood talk back to the screen moment. When Mary Sharon looks at Christopher and goes, "Do you lie?" I said the line should have been, "Yeah, but not right now, baby." I mean, that's what Christopher should have said, right? It's
Yes.
missed out. Of course I lie. I'm a gigolo, but I ain't lying right now.
That's right. All
Oh,
right.
man.
So who wants to read about Neon Telephone and Do You Lie mixes on Wednesday?
I'll tackle it.
All right.
Yeah, I got it. Neon Telephone Mix, Do You Lie Mix, Washington Avenue Warehouse, Edina, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince and the Revolution. Engineers David Tickle and Susan Rogers. I take it we're skipping the quote.
Yes.
All right. It appears that Prince was traveling during this week, so at some point he left Wendy, Lisa, and Susanna to oversee a variety of mixes. Prince pushed everyone around him hard and demanded an extreme level of dedication and focus, which meant very little downtime for those around him. Working with him directly was often stressful, so during the times that he was away, the days were a little more casual. I was remembering how stilted our behaviors could be in his presence because he was so controlling, according to Susan Rogers. It was like training for the Olympics or something. When you're there with your coach, that pressure is forcing you to perform. But when we, but were we that much different? No, we may have moved a little bit slower, but we might have laughed a lot more. It is not that there wasn't humor while working with Prince. There was, but the mood was always dictated by him. He always came off to the media as being mysterious, quiet, and shy, as I recall Fink. But with us in the band, we all yoked it up pretty hard. Prince used to refer to a certain walk, he'd call it the George Jefferson Pimp Walk from the Jeffersons TV show, say remembers Wendy. I said remember specific times for his own giggles, he'd actually have the band do that George Jefferson Pimp Walk so he could laugh at us because we were so bad at it. Especially Matt, because Matt would get the biggest laughs. But because of those experiences and him referring to that particular walk, we know that when he'd come into rehearsals with that walk, that day wasn't going to go well. Lisa explains. You want me to skip that?
No, read it.
We're gonna read the quote. The thing about him was when he was there, he could be Mr. Mood Swings. We had different names for him, like Steve. Steve was the cool guy who you could hang out with, and he wore gym socks and played basketball, and he was a nice guy. Then there was Marilyn. Marilyn was like, she's so needy, and you can't do anything that's sexier. So you know what I mean. He would talk softly, and it was just like walking on eggshells. And then there was George Jefferson, who was just, yeah, big up. He would be fun to work with. We usually do something really funky, like a chlorine bacon skin type of track with George Jefferson. So that was the thing. If he was in the studio, it was just you'd have to be aware of which person was going to show up. So when he wasn't there, it was just more free, and you could just have fun.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read the rest because there's more in the expanded edition. So It says Prince's humor stretched across to his protege artists, including Sheila's band, remember Susie Davis. We sent them the Paisley Family, which was the song that was sung to the tune of the Addams Family, which had lyrics like, nobody comes to see them, they won't get their per diem. And then we got this videotape back a few weeks later from Prince. The video was called Carl's Cousin. And Carl's cousin went up for a bid on an auction with one of the Susie Davis auctions. And Prince led members of the Revolution and the Family as they mocked Sheila's drummer, Carl Parasso, and keyboardist Davis to the tune of the Family's High Fashion. This video was, Ricky, do you mind muting yourself? Because I can hear myself. This video was specifically just to dog us laughs, Davis. In this videotape, Susanna Melvoin is wearing a DX7 around her neck, and she's stomping out of time to the music the entire time because she's parroting me, and it's so funny. Prince is having so much fun doing it. And if you've seen clips of that, you can tell that they are just having a ball. So, Celie, I feel like you want to say something.
So 2 things. Little known fact about the George Jefferson walk. That was never supposed to be in the television series. What happened is, if you remember how the show came on and remember toward the end of the theme song, they're walking into the new hotel. They're walking into the new high rise. Well, Sherman Hemsley and what's the sister's name who played Wheezy?
I'm blanking too.
Yeah. So they shot that 25 times. And they were like, both of them were like,
Esther Roll.
Yeah, no, Esther Roll was Good Times.
Good Times. Oh.
Yeah. Sherman Hemsley's wife. Isabella. There we go. Thank you, Love Sexy 71. Isabella. And so they, after 25 times, Sherman Hemsley was like, it don't take no 25 takes to get no damn walking into the hotel. So out of frustration, he did that walk. That is how the George Jefferson walk got invented. On the 26th take or whatever, he got frustrated and did that, and they caught it and took it and was like, that's it. That's your walk. That's it forever. So it's funny that something that became iconic was basically an act of blowing out steam right now. Here's the second part of that quote I want to get to. I'm not surprised that they said that Matt had the funniest walk, because I got a question for you and Ricky and for the rest of the chat. Me and my friends, I want everybody to think about the When Doves Cry video. Did anybody else's friends take bets on who did it take the longest to get the dance steps in the When Doves Cry video? Because some of them get the steps, but you can tell they counting in their head as they doing the steps. So I want to know in the chat, and I want to know from you and Brother Rick, in real time, were your friends as petty as my friends? We used to take bets on who in the revolution it took the longest to get them dance steps at the end of When Doves Cry.
So we got to vote for Fink, poor Matt. I'm going to be honest. Like, I was just watching Prince. I wasn't watching the other people.
And I'll be honest with you, my unsung hero in that video is Brown Mark. And here's why he's my unsung hero in that video. The three of us on this stage screen and some of us in the chat, we come from the dancing bands, right? We come from the Jackson 5, the Temptations. We know what a dancing band looks like. Brown Mark becomes the consummate bass player in his dancing. Because while Prince is doing all of that crazy jumping around and yelling, Brown Mark never loses the groove, and he's so smooth with it. And I tell people, that's damn hard to do when you trying to do a step and somebody's over here doing a whole bunch of other stuff. You got to be really smooth and really cool and a damn good bass player. So I want y'all, the next time y'all watch the long play of When Doves Cry, watch Brown Mark and give that man his props as the consummate bass player and the consummate background dancer, because he never misses a beat while Prince is over there doing that. That's it. I said,
and keep in mind that Prince was doing some Mick Jaggerish.
Exactly. He was
doing some Mick Jaggerish stuff early on, so it was a whole lot to be like, what is this brother doing?
And Brown Mark is just so smooth and so cool. So yeah.
I love this comment from Blade Brown. Blade Brown says, Brown Mark said, I'm getting my ish off if I can't get no lines in the movie.
There you go, Blade Brown. I'm with you, Blade Brown. That's what he look like. He literally look like, well, you can't take this from me, player. I'm gonna do, hey, player, you can't take this from me. I mean, that dude. Look, you know you doing something. When my father looks at the video and turns to me and go, that bass player know what he doing. That was literally what my father said. That bass player know what he doing. Shout out to Brown Mark and holding the steps down.
We got to give a shout out to Brown Mark. You know, like I always talk about Brown Mark's bass playing, but I mean, you can, one thing I love about Brown Mark, like when he's on stage, you can tell that he's very present and that he's feeling it. You know how some musicians and some bass players, a lot of bass players, they act like they too cool for school and you don't know if they're really there or not. They so laid back. But Brown Mark, he be doing the steps. He has this mad energy.
Yes.
Actually, of any bass player that I've ever seen, with the exception of Prince, of course. So yeah, but Brown Mark doesn't get enough love for his movement and stage presence.
Highlight Brother Fitzgerald's quote. Okay. With everybody focusing on Brother Fitzgerald's quote, I'm going to make two statements. One, the band that did the Prince tribute was a really good band. They're a popular local band, particularly Southern Mississippi band. They did a really good job. I will just say this. 70% of the people on the dance floor is Brother Fitzgerald's quote. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. So Chris Barnett is saying, didn't Brown Mark choreograph those steps in Windows Cry? I don't remember.
Oh, that gets me to my other point, though. Thank you for doing that. Brother Rick, I agree with you. But one of the things I did say in the class, Prince putting on that hat and descending them steps at that moment was the coolest, blackest pimp shit I'd ever seen in my life. When Prince puts on that hat, like he's standing there, and Prince puts that brim on and pimps down that circle stare. Look, this ain't nothing. I'm just something I'm just reading into. This just me to some personal stuff. This ain't nothing what I'm about to say. In my mind, when Prince put on that pimp hat and walked down them stairs, he was laying down the gauntlet that other dude ain't the only mofo who can dance. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Because it was the blackest, pimp-ish that I had ever seen. We can move on.
And you gotta remember, man. So that's the hat with the little lace piece in the front on one side.
Yep.
So this saying that Celie, and always getting in arguments with my dear close Prince friends and probably you too about why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance is so important. In my personal opinion, it is probably the most critical live performance Prince has ever done to the masses. I'm not talking to us as Prince people, but to the masses.
Right.
And what I loved about it was that he walked on stage with his pimp walk.
Yep.
He had on his hat.
Yep.
And I don't know, he was just like, for me, when I looked at him, I felt like, that scene in Sinners where you see the ancestors being channeled.
Yep.
And I just felt like like Prince was like, let me show you.
Yes. No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I'm like you, and I'm glad you put it that way, that for people outside of the hardcore fandom and scholarship, that performance is probably one of his most important performers, particularly when he had been shut out of the Rolling Stone greatest guitar players, right? It was like you said, and as we know, he sandbagged the rehearsal. He didn't give him everything in the rehearsal because he knew what he had in the chamber, and he was waiting to blow them away. And so I'm with you 100% because the minute after that performance ended, Prince's place in American popular music elevated even more because they could no longer deny him as not only one of the great rock and rollers, but as one of the heirs to the great legacy of American music and Black American music. So I'm with you 100% on that. That it is, I will say with you, that's probably one of his most important public performances. I'm with you. I agree.
But and the point I really want to make is that Prince, how can I say this? I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. So okay, so the Red Cat Up Rock. I don't think Brown Mark was in none of the Cherry Moon. Like so Brown Mark scenes got cut from Under Cherry Moon too. I don't think, or unless you're being funny. But okay, I was about to say. Okay, yeah. So I got cut from the Girls and Boys video for the movie. Got it. Yes, Kim, the blackness. That's what.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
And I think that was important.
And that's important because who he has induct him.
Yes.
Right. If you look at who inducts him, that I'm with you. That shows that what you were saying and what Kim is affirming, that was intentional by Prince. He was intentionally making that statement.
Yes. And what I find fascinating is that, again, I've talked to a casual person, a casual music fan. I didn't really know this person, so I don't even know if they're a casual music fan. But they didn't realize that Prince was being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the same year as he did that performance, which I think is just sheer insanity. What I was like, what do you mean you don't know he got inducted into them? That's why he was there. He wasn't there.
And to be there, it just showed up.
Yeah.
But it does those kinds of things speaks to the work that all of us do, right? Yes. When you in something, you take it for granted that everybody else knows this, and then when you step out of it, you realize there's just so much about him that they don't know. So I'm glad you made that point that, don't even know why he was there, what was going on. So yeah, and so that's just affirmation, and that's why I always thank you for curating this space and curating so many other spaces, because there's a lot of more work that needs to be done. And I appreciate you and Brother Rick and Brother Dean and everybody in the chat and all of the Prince scholars that we know for continuing, and I'm using this pun purposely, continuing to do the work. That's it.
Yes. And I didn't realize this. So Ronnie says that Takumi, Prince's guitar tech, was pushing up the levels, which is genius.
There you go.
Let's see. Let's see. Chris Bernier said, I can understand how someone would wonder why is an inductee performing on someone else's tribute.
Oh, I can answer that. I can answer that. And it's because up until recently, I've seen every Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Like I saw the very first one because of all of the blues people that they had. That's part of what they always did. The inductees would perform, and then they would also perform on somebody else's song if that person wasn't alive, and it would end with a big jam session. And so if I'm not mistaken, I think what they did that year was they combined two things. They combined having inductees perform on another inductee song who wasn't alive, and the end of the show jam session. Because the very first rock, if I'm not mistaken, the very first Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction service, the last jam section was Little Richard's Lucille, and it was led by Little Richard and Paul McCartney. So just to your point, that's part of Brother Brunet. That's just part of the structure of how they do it. And I think for that year, they combined two of those. They combined the other inductees playing on George Martin's song with the mass jam session that they have every year. That's it.
All right. Okay. So let's keep reading. And our next thing is Thursday, July 18th. Can you read that, Celie?
Read that, and I can read Friday when we get to it since it's short. They both are short.
Okay.
Neon Telephone Mix, Love of Money Instrumental Mix, Washington Avenue Warehouse, Edina, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince and Revolution, engineers David Thickel and Susan Rogers. Prince quote, Love of Money was written for the character of Mary Sharon. As he did with Love of Money, Neon Telephone was also written for Mary Sharon, the female lead in Under the Cherry Moon, but it would ultimately not fit in the context of the movie or soundtrack album. During the session, Wendy and Lisa updated the mix of Neon Telephone. After midnight, they also produced a mostly instrumental mix of Love of Money. The only vocal parts remaining were the Love of Money chants in the chorus. The mix like this was generally created for some type of situation in which the lead vocals could be performed at a later date due to the pre-existing track. It is unclear if any additional songs were worked on during this session. Now, okay, so maybe I'm confusing what's being meant here, because and then I also want to get to something else. Love of Money is played when they go on the spending spree.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought they said they couldn't find a place for it. Maybe I misread that.
I think it was Neon Telephone. I think.
Okay, there we go. That's okay. I was misreading. There we go. Yeah. So, and what I find interesting about this is, though we understand that songs are written for certain situations and characters in Purple Rain, the fact that we here are now reading that this song was written for Mary Sharon, other songs were written for actual characters, means that this was practice, though Prince didn't know he was getting practice. This was practice for what he did on the Batman soundtrack. Because in the Batman soundtrack, he takes it to another level where songs are actually credited, right? Now we know that Prince was doing that, and I talk about that in my book, because Prince was already writing under Jamie Starr and Joey Coco and Alexander Nevermind. So Prince writing in pseudonyms and writing for characters made it perfect, and he was already prepared, which is why I think that Batman is such a underrated great record for what it does seamlessly with the film, right? We can go back and forth on sonically, do people like it separate from the film, but I think that Prince actually blurs the line between soundtrack and score with the Batman album in a lot of ways that he does with Under the Cherry Moon, with Parade and Purple Rain, for the film and the album. I'll shut up. That's it.
All right, just really quickly going back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Zakia's comment that it was odd that performance that they had, the other performers leading have Prince to the side like he's not Prince. That's why it's even more brilliant in my personal opinion. And once Prince walked on, for me, like the way Prince walked on that stage is everything. How his presentation, like what he was wearing, he was just channeling the ancestors as far as I'm concerned. And once he was on that stage, it didn't matter where he was. All eyes were on him. So again, let me show you.
And I will say again, just a little background on that. Reason I guess it wasn't as weird to me was because they generally kind of, well, what they do though, Sister Zakia, is they let the performers kind of decide what they want to do. It's really a democratic. It's really interesting. It's a really democratic way in which they perform the end of the song jam, right? And again, remember they're mixing these two things. So it wasn't like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame went and said, "You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this." What they kind of did was got people together and they put them in the room. And they'll let them know this is what we want to have happen. And then the musical director and the performers get together and kind of uh, not even negotiate, decide. So I just want to be clear. It wasn't somebody saying we want Tom Petty to sing this because he's a bigger star than, you know, such and such. The musicians and all the people there, they kind of got that. And to Prof Does point, I think that was Prince sandbagging, letting them say, "No, I don't want to sing." I think Prince was sandbagging them because he knew that his solo was going to be the one thing that everybody remembered from that. And so I think that's why he purposely chose not to sing a part, because he wanted all the attention to be on his solo. I hope all that makes sense. And I'll shut up.
Yes. All right. So
Friday.
Wait on Friday. And I just want to tell everybody the reason why we're not talking about Neon Telephone is that we talked about it last week. So if you missed that episode, you should go back if you want to hear all about Neon Telephone and our thoughts about Neon Telephone. So I know some of you go like, why are we not talking about Neon Telephone? So that's one thing.
And as Brother Fitzgerald said, that part and that Neon Telephone leads to one of the funniest parts of the movie, that damn ladder. And all the stuff that happens before the ladder, going up the ladder, coming down the ladder. I'm sorry. They should have got a nomination for the comedy, for the humor, for that ladder. Because everything with that ladder.
Everything with that ladder.
Whistle 3 times.
Yes.
And then he gives him the grin.
Yes.
Hand the money. Leave the jaws to me.
Yes.
Wait now, baby. I ain't in all that. Yes, Kim. Put Kim up. Put Kim's comment on the screen. That is Kim. That is. Get the ladder. Fuck it.
Oh my God. That whole scene is just every time. And I never laughed so hard. It is just so incredible. I love the look when, you know, like Tricky kind of turns around and he realized that yes. Oh, it's so great. It's so great.
Modern put that. You're right, Modern. You're right. It is they are doing the classic Hollywood shtick, and they're doing it to perfection, which lets you know that What's the Password wasn't a fluke. Right? That lets you know that these are talented people who could do the What's the Password humor, right? Which is the Who's on First. I always say this. I love both of those equally. I love Who's on First. There you go. You did the Mary's Mom. You did the Mary's Mom. I love Who's on First and What's the Passwords equally. So if you don't know Who's on First, everybody go watch Who's on First, the Who's on First bit, and then watch What's the Password, and you'll have even greater respect for it. All right, that's it.
And for those of you who weren't with us the past couple of weeks, or maybe it was just last week, Under the Cherry Moon is now on YouTube. So you can actually watch it on YouTube if you haven't seen it. And again, depending on when you joined us today, Celie started off our conversation by saying that if you enter into Under the Cherry Moon wanting to have fun, knowing that you're going to have fun, you'll have a better reception of the film. Yep. If you're expecting the kid,
right,
you're not going to like this film.
Right.
Just FYI.
There you go, Gabrielle. Cabbage head.
Yes. And Chris P.
No, that's Abbott and Costello. That's Abbott and Costello. And I'll keep my Smothers Brothers slander to myself for now. But that's Abbott. I'll just say this. Do you know the story about Bill Cosby punching one in the mouth?
No.
All right, we don't even get it. Yeah, I'll tell you about that later. Yeah, I'm not a big Smothers Brothers fan. But yeah, Abbott and Costello, Who's on First? There we go. Thank you, Heavenly Games. Lewis and Costello.
All right. So Stone Freak, this is so funny. So Stone Freak was called Tricky as a kid because they said I was Prince's sidekick. That's that's really great. And Blake Brown is saying Under the Cherry Moon was a BET staple along with Juice and Holiday Heart in the early noughts.
Okay.
And then Kim Glenn is making sure we get that attribution correct.
Hey, Abbott.
Yes, I love this, Audra, the way they fling those trench coats. That whole scene, you know what? If I only had like 10 minutes to live and I needed to watch something, I will watch that latter scene. It gives me joy every single time.
Oh,
Yes.
Isaac. Oh, Isaac. It's been so long. It won't be much longer now, baby.
Oh my God. And Stone Freak said, when I met Jerome at Celebration was truly a dope moment in my life. Anytime you can talk with Jerome is incredible. He's such an amazing person, so genuine, and he loves Prince. All right. Yes, Monnair. I also wanted one of those trench coats, but I don't think it would look as good on me as it looked on Prince. So, all right. So, Celie, read about Friday.
Friday, July 19th, 1985, the family's first single, The Screams of Passion, is released a month before the album. The single reached number 63 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 charts, number 9 on the Billboard Black chart, and number 10 in the Billboard Hot Dance Disco Club Play chart. And those numbers are important because that was a record, that was a song that, we all cared about Prince trying to get that Duran Duran money. But just on its sound, Black radio, Black community was about to get behind that record. I mean, MTV didn't have a problem playing The Screams of Passion. Like, I saw The Screams of Passion a lot. And so that's one of those times where you could actually say that the band not doing any press, the band not touring, like if BT is already playing that video and you think a month into that, the family goes and hangs out with Donnie Simpson and gets the okay and the cosign from Donnie Simpson, I really think that album, because the one thing that they may have forgotten, even trying to get that Duran Duran money, a lot of times things can start hot on Black radio and then cross over. And I think that if Warner Brothers and people would have been thinking about that, right, let it sizzle, let it cook. I think they were trying out the gate to get that Duran Duran money. If they would allow the family's album to sizzle on BET and Black radio the way it was doing, rather than turning the fire off, right? You can tell how old I am. I'm cooked with gas, not on these electric, right. I'm up here talking about turn the fire off, right? So if you turn the fire off, right, there you go. See, stay in rotation on DC radio. If they do just a little bit of promotion where people can see them and get to know them, I really do think that album probably could have done some of the things that Prince wanted that album to do. But again, he's stretched thin. He's in Europe. He's back and forth. He's doing all these other things. So, that is what it is. I'll shut up.
So I want to show this, and I'm sure that many people have seen this before, but if you haven't, this is one of my, this is one of my favorite. This is a 12-inch, not the album, of Screams of Passion. And the photography is by Horst. And for the Pop Life 40 virtual symposium with our keynote with the family, Susanna talks about the photography session. And I always wonder, like, which shots are really Horst and which ones are Prince, because Prince was getting impatient. But also in the back, I love like the colors that were affiliated with each of the albums. Like for the family, it was pink. For Sheila's second record, Romance 1600, it was like a light blue. And, like with Apollonia 6, it was magenta. For Joe Jones, it was like violet and all that. So love, love, love. And look at Eric. Look at Eric. Like,
looking all suave and cool.
Yeah, looking cool. And we got Jelly Bean. I love the photography of this.
Jelly Bean almost looked like Alexander O'Neal on that.
Where's
Jelly gonna need a house. Jelly
he does, doesn't he?
Jelly gonna need a car. Jelly, he's working on. Jelly gonna need some paper. Jelly and Alexander gonna need some paper.
Oh my God! And then I'm really big on the vinyl label, so you can see we got the pink Warner Brothers and the Paisley Park logo and all of that. So this is one of my favorite 12 inches. Hopefully I don't want to fall. And I wanted to come back to this comment from Carol Brooks. Celia, I wanted to know what your response excuse me, to this is?
So number one, Sister Brooks, that would be a great idea. And because of my history, my background in Black literature, I actually started out writing a script to rewrite Under the Cherry Moon as a tragic mulatto story. And Mary Sharon was going to be a mulatto. And what I found in doing that, you didn't really have to change much of the script because there's a lot of racial underplay in there anyway, right? Right. And when the police come to carry your ass down, right? Like the whole, I can see it now. Mother dear, meet me, new husband, right? So there's a lot of racial and class. And I always thought that you could replace Mary Sharon and make her the tragic mulatto. For those of y'all who've never not Zordon Hurston, Nella Larson. You should read Nella Larson's two books. One is called Passing, and what's the other one? I always forget the other one. But Nella Larson's two novels, Passing, and I'm kicking myself for not remembering the other one. But so yeah, Carol, Sister Carol, that's a great idea. But I'm a person who also hates covers and hates remakes, and that's why I ultimately didn't go through with it, because I hate cover and I hate remakes. But I would have loved, and this is how much I got into it, rewriting it and having Spike Lee direct it. So rewriting it as a tragic mulatto. And by the way, folks, for those of you who don't know much about African American literature, works like Nella Larson, the tragic mulatto was often set either in Europe or in New York. So the tragic mulatto story often always takes place in Europe and in no, that's not an offensive term. That's an actual literary term, being SCR. I'm a just so you know, like I'm like a poet and a short story writer and an African American literary scholar. That's not an offensive term. That's the name of a set of genre. It's called the tragic mulatto. Queen, thank you, El Michelle. Queen is also. So yeah, so go look up what you should do, being SCR. Go look up Nella Larson. And if you look up Nella Larson, you'll see that tragic mulatto is a real literary term. I'll stop there. That's it. Let's move on.
Okay, so the other, just so you know, the other
Quicksand. Thank you, EA. Quicksand. Yep. That's the other Nella Larson is Quicksand. Thank you. All right.
Yep. And then the other thing you should know is that there is a film that was made from Passing that's actually was produced by Forrest Whitaker, and it stars Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga, which is a really great film because it's also in black and white.
Yes.
It's like really great.
Yes. And there we go. Thank you. I forgot about that film that they did. There we go.
I thought Ruth's performance in particular was really great. All right. So let's see. Yeah, I think, Tanja, you're talking about the film because it's really beautiful.
Right. And they're really pretty faithful to the novel too. That's what I like, is that they're pretty faithful to the novel.
And I didn't know that. So Tanja is saying Chanel did all of the costumes for that film.
Cool.
All right, so let's go to, let's see. The Blake Brown is saying the same
queen.
Yes,
the same queen with Halle Berry. That would also fall under the tragic mulatto kind of, although that's more of a slave novel. So that queen bridges the gap of the slave narrative and the tragic mulatto. So Queen would fall right into the crux of slave narrative. And for those of you who don't know, Queen is the other side of Roots. So Queen would be like the part two of Roots. But both by Alex Haley. So you had Roots by Alex Haley, and then Queen was the work that he wrote after he wrote Roots. That's it.
Yeah, Queen was like his grandmother's story.
Grandmother, exactly. Queen was his grandmother's story. There we go. Who lived in the house with them, and she had this knack. She would steal food, and they didn't know why she would steal food. And the story unravels that's why she would steal food, was because of her trauma from having been a slave and those kind of things. So thank you, Brother Ricky. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, Heavenly Games. Alexander Skarsgård was in passing as well. He was Ruth Nega's husband in that. Yes, Queen is always well, it's really sometimes really hard to watch those
Right.
films, but
Right.
if you haven't
It's
seen them,
classroom. It's definitely classroom worthy.
There we
yeah,
go. There we go.
definitely classroom worthy.
Hey, some things are a one-time watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right, so we're getting to the end, timekeeper. Just so you know, we still got 30 whole minutes, so we can take our time with the end today. So week 29. So well, actually, so far in 1985, Prince has written 45 new songs and has had 67 studio sessions, from what we know. That's the reason why we have the asterisk. We don't know everything, but based on the research that Duane Tudahl and a lot of other people who did the research previous to Duane, this is what we think. So these are all the songs that he's tracked so far in 1985. And you can see that he's actually tracking songs in a lot of different places. So he started off the year in Atlanta at Master Sound Studios, also in Atlanta, Cheshire Sound. I might be pronouncing that wrong, Cheshire Sound Studios. And I'm sure that Kim will help me with the pronunciation. And then we'll have Fifth Floor Recording Studio, which was in Cincinnati. And then the mobile studio truck, Sunset Sound. And then, in my personal opinion, the best recording place in 1985 because of the songs that were recorded there, the Washington Avenue Warehouse in Edina. Okay, so 45 songs so far, and we're going to take a music break. So I saw my beloved Omar last week. Oh no, this week in New York City, and at the City Winery. He will be coming to Chicago on the 22nd, and he's doing 2 shows in Atlanta. And this is super rare. For those of you who don't know, Omar is based out of the UK, and he rarely comes to the States. And so to get him 2 times in 1 year is like a miracle. He just released a new record called Brighter the Days. And if you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. And he has been recording for 40 years. So he is a singer, songwriter, musician, and he has a very unique style of singing, a very unique musical sound. If you love music by real musicians, you should go out and support Omar. Also, Alice Smith is doing her first live show on the East Coast since COVID. And if you haven't seen Alice Smith perform, I highly recommend it, even though this show is sold out. But I think she's coming to Philly, if I remember correctly. So I got to put that up. She's coming somewhere else on the East Coast, which is really fantastic. So if you can't catch her in DC, because if you haven't bought your tickets, you won't be able to. But she is performing in another venue, so I have to add that. And then the Newport Jazz Festival is coming August 1st through 3rd. And I'm missing this because I'm going to see Alice. But I would have loved to have seen the second day, Janelle Monáe, Flying Lotus, and Willow. And there's so many other amazing musicians on this bill. And then also there's the Black Radio Experience out in the Napa Valley, August 29th to through the 31st. I've never been to one of these, but Willow is also performing there as well.
Hey,
yeah.
I want to be careful how I ask this question. Do you think, given the discussion, I use the word discussion, do you think, given the discussion about Essence Fest, do we need to look at how these 2 festivals are perceived to see if what went down was an anomaly with Essence Fest or is something with festivals in general? And I want to talk about that without talking negatively or getting into the negativity about Essence Fest, because I don't think that serves anybody well to get into, even though Stephanie Mills. But if you know Stephanie Mills, Stephanie gonna speak her mind, so it is what it is. But do you think that we should kind of look at how people attend these 2 festivals and what people say about these festivals as to kind of see what then we want to think about some of the discussion that we've had around Essence Fest, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, Ricky, I know you have to go, so I don't know. Is there something you want to say about this, or do you just want to sign off?
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off because I might get too deep. But that's a great question. I'm gonna chime in and hear what y'all say about it. I may say something and say the chat or not, but that is a very good question. It's like you say, Celie, two things can be right at the same time.
Right, exactly.
And I'll go out on that note. I see y'all next week.
All right. Always good to see you, brother.
All right.
Okay, so he's not here today. He will hopefully be back with us next week, but sometimes we're not all here. He's fine. Just, family. Like it's a commitment actually to be here every Saturday. And I'm so grateful that Celie literally has been away from his home for an entire week. He pulled into the driveway and came straight to the stream to be with us. So, I mean, that's like commitment. So
I didn't even unpack.
Yeah. So that's what's going on there. Okay. So, when it comes to festivals, okay, here, let me step back. So I've only gone to Essence Fest one time. And the reason why I never went back, even when Prince performed, was I did not like the sound of the Superdome, like just the audio.
Right.
As a music snob, as someone who values like sound systems, I just couldn't take it. I was like, oh my God, like I couldn't hear anything. So I personally I really don't like music festivals, particularly if they're in an outdoor or, like outdoor venue.
Right.
I'm such a snob when it comes to that. So that's one thing. The other thing is that there are almost always issues with festivals, no matter what festival it is.
Exactly.
Not all the time, but more often than not, just because it is a lot of people.
Yep.
And you have to have, the infrastructure for all these people, meaning like, what kind of porta potties do you have? Like just needs like trash cans and, and then, yeah. So it's, like things are, since COVID also, I really do think that a lot of, when it comes to music, there's been a hit in terms of just finances, because it just takes a lot. And then like, I'm sure sponsorship may not be at the level that it was prior to COVID. Right. So we're still dealing with the economic repercussions of COVID to, just like the festivals. And look at here, we got Jason. So Jason Orr of Funk Jazz Cafe, who knows more about this than anybody.
Yes, exactly. That would be the expert right there. Brother Orr, he would be the expert. There we go.
Yes. So he says, can tell you all about that festival environment and economy. Like, it's not as simple as it appears to be.
Right. And also, let's be clear. Because I want to go back to something you said, just not to belabor the point. I've always thought about, and I've been to a couple of festivals. I'm not a big festival fan. I've always wondered, like, you got the bands are set up. And it always amazed me, if you got 3 bands set up, why the hell is it 30 minutes between each performance? Like, and so sometimes it's not the festival. Sometimes it's the artists going over their time. And you have to understand, in a tight window like that, if you're supposed to do a 40-minute set and you do 45 minutes, you have to compound that 5 minutes for the next 3 acts. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So you got the third act maybe coming on 30 minutes to an hour late just because one act went 5 minutes over. And I know that people in the crowd don't understand that. So yeah, that's all I say is that there are a lot of complicated things that go on with festivals. And so I'm like you, I've never been a big festival person. So I've only gone to a few that I knew there were gonna be people that I wanted to see. So, but I just wanted to, because I felt really bad just about all the chatter around Essence and didn't know how to deal with it and just said, and so that's it. But that's it. So I'll leave that there and let you go on. And then when we get close to the end, I'm gonna have you highlight one of Kim's comments back at 12:26. But I want to do that after you finish going through that.
Okay. So, also, I think this is another important part. A
Yep.
lot of people don't have the money to attend these festivals again post COVID because of the economic repercussions, and it was just like a domino effect that we're still kind of reeling from, and then everything else that's going on. So that's
Exactly.
Another part of the equation. And so if people aren't coming to these festivals, meaning they're not buying these tickets, then the festival organizers don't have as much money as they need to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah. It's a lot. Okay, so Chris P, can you tell me, did you actually attend Farm Aid or Live Aid, like in person? Like, were you there? Because like when you like the sound guy is on the stage usually at these festivals, and if you're recording it, like the soundboard is always going to be flawless. So that's the reason why I love when we get soundboards of Prince's live shows as compared to the audience recording of Prince's live shows. So like I think it's you, Celie, who like the audience recordings because you get to hear the people. Is that right? Like
you hear them people sing off note. Thanks. Shout out to that one woman who sung off note at 4 straight Prince tours. Whoever that woman is, shout out to you for being your whole off note singing self. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to hear the crowd. I just want to hear Prince. I want to hear Prince as pristine as possible.
Right.
So, like in terms of the broadcasts of the Farm Aid and Live Aids, they were going to be pristine because it's funneling through the soundboard. But if you were there in person, let me know and let us know like what the venue was. So maybe there is a live venue a live outdoor venue that has that kind of. So actually, one of the things I distinctly remember this when I went to one of the Lollapaloozas, the one with Alice in Chains and Fishbone, and they were back to back, and those are two of my favorite bands of all time. But the lead singer of Alice in Chains, the original lead singer, who's Lane Staley, he came out, and so the soundboard was in the audience, and I saw it Lollapalooza in Atlanta. Before he came on, the lead singer went to the soundboard and made sure that all the levels and everything was the way he wanted it to be during the show. That's Alice in Chains, like making sure my sound is right.
Right.
Exhibit number one. Another time I saw Alice in Chains, they performed at the Masquerade in Atlanta. The Masquerade is no longer a venue. It's one of the favorite. And Allison, I had never seen so many Marshall stacks in my life. And I was afraid because it was an old mill that we were like, if we were to move, we were going to fall through the floor because they had so many Marshall stacks, and that sound, I had never seen a show in that mill that sounded as good. So like you have to be like really keen on making sure, even in not the best settings, one, an old rickety mill, and two, like in this outdoor, it was at the Lakewood Amphitheater, if I remember correctly. So, you just have to be really dialed in to make sure that sound is right. Okay.
To your point about sound, and feel free to clown me, and everybody in chat, feel free to clown me, because y'all know I know nothing about technology. So I saw something Friday night that I had never seen before. And I'm sure all of y'all in the chat are going to say, Celie, they've been doing that for 10 years now. I had never seen this before, and I don't know if it was because of a small venue. The soundboard, the guy operating the soundboard was doing it on an iPad. I had never seen a soundboard operator operating the soundboard. And literally what I liked what he was doing, and he was a guitar tech. He told me he was a guitar tech for who was he a guitar tech? Oh, he was a guitar tech for a hot minute for Wendy and Lisa before they went on their first European tour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
His name is Jesse. I can't remember Jesse's last name. But he was, so he said he was a guitar tech. And what he was doing, he had the iPad with the little strap around his hand. He was walking around the venue making adjustments based on where he was standing. So I don't know if he was making adjustments based on what he was in. So Kim is putting in the chat that, yep, like I had never seen the soundboard worked on an iPad. My mind was completely 100% blown. And so to Kim's point, they've been doing that for a while now, but I just had never seen that. And I'm like, wow, look what the technology can do.
Yes. All right. So you said there was another Kim quote?
Yeah, 1226.
1226.
Yeah, way back.
Way back. Hold on. Almost there. Let's see. Where are you, Kim? That was a lot of comments at 1226.
There you go.
Why do
right after Tanja.
1226. It might, you know what? It might be different. Is it 1226 or is it one? It might be 126.
No, I'm sorry. Maybe 126 for you. I'm sorry. There we go.
Yeah, it might be because
there we go. 126 for you.
Yep. This one.
Yes. So Sister Kim, because she talked earlier about taking African American lit class, I just have to, when you do this, I have to shout this out. So some of you may be knowledgeable of Toni Morrison's novel Beloved. And of course, you also are knowledgeable of Alex Haley's Roots. Neither one of those books could have been written, and Toni Morrison says this, neither one of those books could have been written without Margaret Walker's Jubilee. So if you love Toni Morrison's novel Beloved and you love the series Roots, you should go and get a copy of Margaret Walker Alexander's Jubilee, because Margaret Walker Alexander's Jubilee is considered the very first ever neo-slave novel. It is the opened the door to Roots and Beloved, and also Alex Haley was actually sued for stealing bits of Roots from Jubilee, but that's another discussion. In fact, Margaret Walker, when you go to her house propped up, because she's an old black church lady, when you walk to her house, Roots would be there, and her book, Novel Jubilee, would be there, and she would have highlighted all the parts that Alex Haley stole. And I'm like, that's petty on top. And you would walk in, and she was a great cook, and you couldn't get none of that gumbo until, see, baby, right here, right? And so, yeah, that I don't say that for people not to appreciate Roots, because Roots is I say that so people can understand how important Margaret Walker Alexander's Jubilee is. So I just want to say, so if you've never heard about, thank you, brother. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, brother Andre, up there in Detroit. So that's it. I'll shut up.
Okay, so let's see. Chanel said I looked it up real quick.
Yep.
Okay. And this is a funny quote.
Yep, there he was. He was here. That is perfect. That's a perfect. And he sampled and didn't get no credit. There you go. You know what? He was Vanilla Ice. That little ding, that's what make it different. Mine is ding, 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 ding. See, it's different. Ain't the same one. Alex Haley had Vanilla Ice's excuse before Vanilla Ice. Thank you, though. Thank you. There you go.
All right. Okay. So I want to keep my promise to Kim. So just really quickly, I want to say I haven't looked on the Remastered America on YouTube. I looked at it this morning and the credits have been changed. So I didn't look in the comments to see if someone said it because I didn't have an opportunity to do so, but I'm just thrilled that the credits are now correct. So thank you to whomever figured that out or pointed it out in case it was pointed out in the comments. So that has been rectified.
Let me say this, Chris P, actually, both of those come after Margaret Walker's novel. The African, if I'm not mistaken, was 1967. Margaret Walker's book is 1966. So both the African and Alex Haley's book borrow from Jubilee. So yeah, so the African, people talk about roots being taken from the African, but both of those actually borrow a great deal from Margaret Walker Alexander's novel Jubilee. But thank you for putting that in the chat, Chris P.
All right. And El Michelle Seeley wants you to know, if you haven't, check out Michael Dean's podcast, Juice Interviews with Scotty Baldwin, Princess Soundboard Master. Those are some really...
Yes, I love those interviews. I love those interviews. Thank you. Hey, but thank you for putting that in the chat, El Michelle, because there may be a lot of people who haven't checked them out.
Yep. I'm going to be honest, any Michael Dean interview with any person is a masterpiece.
He's a master.
But the ones with Scotty Baldwin are really, really important. So thank you, El Michelle.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Yes. I mean, Roots definitely had the households. I remember watching Roots, and I don't remember a lot of things, but I remember.
I remember.
I was 7 years old, and I remember that.
I remember the next day at school, there was a lot of fighting.
Really?
A lot of white kids and black kids. So put in the chat if you are of the age where after y'all watched Roots on TV, you went to school and it was fighting with the children the next day. So, but yeah, I remember there's some fighting going on.
All right. So Chris Bournet is going to see Mavis Staples, which is incredible. Hopefully my battery won't die. If my battery dies, we're going to be in this soon anyway. And my power is in the other room, so hopefully we're almost finished. So, but if we cut out, it's because my battery died. And yes, the Scotty Baldwin interview was excellent. So Tanja has never seen Roots.
How did you miss it? How did you get around it? like I get it, but Roots was one of them things. Roots and Shaka Zulu was that thing they showed every year. You was gonna see Roots every year, and you were gonna see Shaka Zulu every year.
All right, so let's see. Blake Brown says, my parents told me there was a little simmering anger after watching Roots. JD said, my father made my sister and I read Alex's book before the Mentor series. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go. That's good parenting there.
Yeah. Watched in 77, but no fights from Heavenly Games. Tanja's grandmother wouldn't allow.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
She was protecting her baby.
Yes.
I gotta tell you this.
Okay, while you're talking, I'm gonna go grab my.
Okay, go ahead. Yep. Go get your battery. So, hey y'all, before Roots came out, put in the chat if you remember this Western called The Rifleman. There was this Western that used to come on called The Rifleman, and my grandfather loved The Rifleman. Every Saturday, we used to have to watch The Rifleman because my grandfather loved The Rifleman. Well, the guy who was the star in The Rifleman, he played one of Chuck Connors. That's right. Chuck Connors played one of the slave masters in Roots. And after my grandfather saw Chuck Connors in Roots, we never had to watch The Rifleman ever again. My grandfather hated Chuck Connors. He thought, I said, we used to say, Granddad, it's just acting. He's an actor, Granddad. And my grandfather said, nope, no more damn Rifleman, because he said that Chuck Connors looked like he enjoyed his role in Roots too damn much. So we didn't have to watch The Rifleman no more because of the great job that Chuck Connors did in Roots.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. So JD Washington was like Chuck Connors. Okay. All right. So let me get back here and remember the fundraiser for Dr. Funkenberry is happening on the West Coast in Hollywood on July 27th. And there's also Dr. Funkenberry's GoFundMe. If you haven't donated, please do so. And if you can't afford to, just send him a kind word. And then the same for Addie Durant. And again, if you don't know who Addie Durant is, she had a huge part in the Clubhouse rendition of Purple Rain when it was so incredible. It's still on Clubhouse. You can actually hear where fans basically reenacted the entire Purple Rain film via audio. It was very, very well done, and Addie had something to do with that. It was actually a really key part of that. And then Des Dickerson also has a GoFundMe. And this is the playlist for this week, and I will be adding some more things to it, like the Scotty Baldwin interview, Michael Dean, Scotty Baldwin interview, and other stuff. But before we leave, and this was already put in the chat several times, is that there is going to be Sign of the Times re-release on IMAX on August 28th. So tickets haven't gone on sale, at least yesterday I checked, unless they went on sale today. But you want to make sure that we support this, because I think this is really amazing that they're basically remastering, reshowing Sign of the Times in theaters. So Sign of the Times live before the Glam Slam show that's included in the Super Deluxe for Diamonds and Pearls. This was my go-to Prince concert film. I just love. I still do. But, you know, the Glam Slam show is giving it a run for its money, but it's still, it's still a really amazing thing to watch. What was really funny is I was reading some of the comments on YouTube, which I rarely do, and I probably shouldn't have, for Sign of Times. And some people were commenting about how the lip syncing is off. And if you don't know how it was put together, you know, some of it is live concert footage, but some of it is it's based on footage that the majority of it was reshot at Paisley Park on the soundstage. And so some people were commenting how the lip syncing is a bit off in places. But I'm gonna be honest, I never noticed that, because I'm like, it's something about one of the things I love, and you know this, is if you've seen it, is that it's shot in 35 millimeter as opposed to video, because once the You Got the Look video comes on in the midst of the Sign of the Times film, you'll understand the difference between 35 millimeter and the video format. And still to this day, I do not know why they made the decision to put that video in there instead of just, you know, whatever. But because that is the one part that hasn't held up, is the intersplicing of the You Got the Look video. But it's just like, if you read those comments, for those of you who have not watched Sign of the Times live, sometimes you have to let the comments go and experience things on your own. Trust me, if you get into it, like Celie said, that you should enter into Under the Cherry Moon with like wanting to have fun. If you enter into Sign of the Times live as one of the best concert films ever created, even above, you know, Stop Making Sense, in my personal opinion, you'll understand, because I love the way it's shot. I love the interludes. I feel like it's something like The Second Coming would have been, because like originally the idea behind The Second Coming was intersplicing concert footage from the Controversy tour with, you know, those like narrative interludes. So yes, all right. And so Vanessa said, saw Sign of the Times at the theater, the Dominion Theater in London. You couldn't tell me I didn't go to an actual Prince show that night. That's right. And as Rodney said, yes, definitely shout out to Susan Rogers in post-production, and the transition of the live concert footage and shooting in Paisley Park is really amazing. All right, so Ricky's not here with us, so I'm going to do this because it's important. So let's do it.
There you go, dear estate moment.
Yeah, dear estate moment. We got to have one. We love you. We love that you're putting out Sign of the Times live in theaters on IMAX. We are thrilled, to the moon and back. Can't wait to see it. Gonna buy my ticket as soon as it's released, and I'm gonna tell everybody and their mama to go see it if I can. But after you do this round of Sign of the Times live, which we are incredibly grateful for, please release the Glam Slam, give a similar treatment for the Glam Slam show that accompanied the Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe, because Prince, 90s Prince needs more love from the masses. They don't know, like Celie started off the conversation today saying that not many people knew how prolific Prince was. A lot of people don't know about 90s Prince. And I think that Glam Slam show is an incredible moment for all to see. And I think people's perception of Prince would shift to the 90s if they saw that. That's just me. What do you think?
Amen. I agree 100%. I think that I yes, Glam Slam Live, Glam Slam 92 Live should go to theaters. It should be seen. They should take the chance on putting that out there, because I do think, and one of the things even in class this week, I made sure to let them know that in the 90s, Prince was still prolific. Now I did it talking around. I dubbed that, what I call that was the slave era. And so I was able to get all that in and talk about all that, but also talk about the music. So I agree with you 100% that Glam Slam 92 Live should get the same treatment in theaters. And in fact, it should get a limited treatment. They should actually roll it out there. And I will just add to that, and I told this story before. This is how much I love Sign of the Times. I saw Sign of the Times 60 times I saw it 60 times in 30 days.
That's amazing.
Because it was a 7 and 9 o'clock showing. So I saw it at the regular movies. And see, they not gonna remember that after a movie had a run at the regular movies, it would go to the dollar movie.
I remember.
And the dollar movie was right down the street from my college, right down the street from Jackson State University. And I was a college student. And every day I was scrapping up $1. And me and my friend, shout out to my homeboy, Ricky Graham. Me and Ricky Graham, we saw Sign of the Times 60 times in 30 days. We saw the 7 o'clock and the 9 o'clock. And about the 15th day, homeboy stopped charging us and said, just get some damn popcorn, man. You ain't got to. So, but that's right. That dollar movie, that's probably one of my most wonderful Prince experiences, because that last time, right, the 60th time, I was sad because I knew I was going to have to wait a year before the VHS come out. So y'all don't understand. Back in them days, so when you ask me, Celie, why would you go see it 60 times in 30 days? Because back then, it took a year from a movie to go from on the big screen to VHS. And so I said, I need to get this in my brain, especially since I knew that Prince wasn't going to tour Sign of the Times in America. And so that's what I did. And I kept it and held it in my brain until they came out. Yes, I did. Actually, yes, I did. In fact, for the 9 o'clock show, homeboy would leave and like, just close the damn door when y'all leave. That's it.
So I actually, so Monair's comment, with 60 watches the Sign of the Times, you don't ever have to watch Sign of the Times again. No, that's
no, Monair.
That's the point. That's the point. Like, it is one of those things you can watch no matter how many times you watch that particular performance. I see new stuff all the time.
Well, you know what? It's not even new. I'm like you. Until Glam Slam 92 came out, I didn't think, with all the boots and everything I've seen, Sign of the Times, until Glam Slam 92 came out, Sign of the Times was clear and above my favorite Prince show. Mm-hmm. It was my favorite Prince show. And for everything, but for two things, one that Prof Dubs hates, and then the other thing that we both love together. I've said this before. I didn't really like Eric Leeds until I saw what he did on Slow Love. It was Eric Leeds playing on Slow Love is what made me respect him. I didn't have much either way for Eric Leeds until I heard his playing on Slow Love. And to this day, with all the times I've seen that movie, forever in my life, and it is still a religious experience for me. Mm-hmm. Now, like, I'm just like, that's the only way I can define it. I've tried to define it any other way. Forever in my life, it is a spiritual, religious experience for me every time I see it. And then you go and it's more show left.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So Celia, it's so funny that you say that, because I also have a spiritual experience. That is my favorite moment in the Sign of Times concert, is Forever in My Life It. I get so emotional. Like, you can tell Prince, the thing is, like, Prince is like the ultimate performer, but that moment you could see that he reached something else while he was performing.
There is that moment when you see it, and this is when I realized that as an artist, it's got to be good to you too. Because as you say, there's a moment when Prince does this. I don't know when he does this, and that's that moment Prince like, this shit is hot. Okay, Ken, we see it. But there's that moment when Prince goes, this shit is hot. So like you say, it goes from Prince moving us to Prince moving himself. See you, Chanel. I always love seeing you.
Yes, I'm so grateful that the state released the Glam Slam show. It was really incredible. And yes, Romance 1600 Live is also really, really incredible. We've been talking about that Love Bizarre performance in particular this year a lot because, yeah. And let's see. And Andre Staley has another Dear State moment. Please release the full-length version of that Parade Detroit birthday show. But we are grateful for the Sign of Times, because I have friends going like, why are you asking for something else when they're giving you the Sign of Times? Because we want it all. That's right. But it's not that we don't appreciate, and we really appreciate Sign of the Times, but the full-length version of the Parade Detroit birthday show, I know a lot of people would love that. And we'll end on this. Eric Leeds on Slow Love. Awesome for all of you who love Slow Love. Okay.
Notice he said for all of you. That's the Prof Duff shade. Matter of fact, she almost hit you with it. Yes, my mic is on. That's how my mic is on moment for all of you who love Slow Love. We'll go on. And yes, thank you, Tanja. I'm gonna take my grandson. That's what I plan on doing. Tanja said take a millennial to see Sign of Times. I'm gonna take my grandson. All right, that's it. I'm set up. We can go.
All right, so take us out.
So once again, look, man, this is how much I love Prof Duff and Brother Rick and Brother Dean, but this is also how much I love y'all and how much I love Prince. I drove 3 hours. I drove 3 hours this morning. I woke up at 7:30, 7 something, whatever, got into my car, came into the driveway. I have not unpacked. I have not done anything. I came here just to be with y'all. And I want to be clear. I came here to be with y'all because I always feel like I miss something when I don't spend Saturday with y'all. So we want to thank Prof Duff for curating this space. And we want to thank Brother Dean and Brother Rick, particularly Brother Dean, for all he does with Podcast Juice. And we especially want to thank all of y'all in the chat, because as Brother Turnbull says, the chat is its own thing. And because of that, we really wouldn't be here. So on that, we thank y'all, and we will see y'all next Saturday.
All right, timekeeper, just 2 minutes over. See that? 2 minutes over. Just change it 3. All right.
That's still a $25 fine.
Yes. Have a great week, everyone.